want to flip the camera? So that's her. All right, you can explain. So this is. Hi.
Dr.
Okay.
Peggy.
Dr. Peggy.
So yeah, this is a dark field microscope, so we can actually do live blood analysis with this microscope, and we can take the blood and look right away under the microscope, and you can still see these things are still alive. There are microorganisms, they're moving around. So this is all healthy microbes. They're very important to have them in the blood. These are our red blood cells, and we're aiming here that they're really round and separated, so one by one. These are the white blood cells, the leukocyte, and you can actually also see there is movement in the cell, which is really important that they're active. Yeah, so this is important to see.
And what is this, Dr. Peggy?
Well, a microscope.
And what's the exact name for this, and what does it do?
It's a dark field microscope, so the background is actually black. And when you use light field microscopes, you need to color the object, so you wouldn't see anything otherwise.
Right.
Yeah, so by using a dark field, we can just use the blood and look right to it. So we have attached a little camera here, so we can see it on the screen.
Okay. And this is healthy blood, right? So we're testing it live. We're testing Dr. Peggy's blood live. And what we can see is less aggregation. This was tested a while ago, right? This was put under a while ago. And we're seeing the quality of the cell, of the blood cell, intact. So it's not damaged, it's good quality blood cells. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because these cells can also be damaged. I don't know if you want to show here an image like cells. They have a very broken surface. This is a cancer patient. Okay,
so this is a book. We're looking at a book, and this is an illustration of blood cells that are corrupted. They're very damaged, right? So these are red blood cells, as you can see under a microscope. Photos of damaged red blood cells. Okay, and this is an example of good blood cells. Okay, this is an oversimplification, guys. What we're going to do today is we're going to see, right? We're going to see normal blood compared to vaccinated blood. Very simple. We're going to compare both bloods and see normal blood versus vaccinated blood, unvaxxed versus vaxxed. All right, so what we can see, we're looking at a live feed of Dr. Peggy's blood, and we can see good quality blood cells. Do you want to add anything before we look at?
No, that's pretty much it. So what is also important actually is the serum space is clean like here, so there shouldn't be any things what you will see soon on the vaccinated people. So we found very strange stuff in his blood, which I haven't seen in 30 years during microscopy. So it's.
So when did your patient come in? This client, when did he come in, and when did you test his blood, and what vaccine did he get?
Yeah. So meanwhile, I have seen a lot of different patients. Some of them right on the same day even. Some patients after a week or two, or months later also. So, but the effect is always the same. The coagulation is a big problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And how many patients have come in that were vaccinated where you've tested their blood?
At least 60, 70.
60 to 70 patients. And one of the common things that you've seen is corrupted blood amongst.
It's the coagulation, and also we have actually thrombocytes, platelets in the blood, and they can coagulate together and can build a kind of coagulation clots, and this is to see also a lot in these patients. They have the coagulation.
Can you define coagulation for people who don't understand it? What does coagulation mean?
So at one point you get blood cells like this that they come out and stuck all together. Yeah, this causes coagulation, but also the build-up of bigger thrombocytes, so thrombocytes, clots. And fibrin. Fibrin are these little strings in the blood. They're just like a web what they're creating, and this web can really make your blood really sticky and not flowing.
Right.
Yeah.
So coagulation, one of the common things that causes blood clot, guys, is coagulation, which means it's also an aggregate, right? So when blood cells aggregate together, and there's unknown sort of substances floating within the blood cells, it's essentially corrupted red blood cells, that can result in blood clots. And that's why you're hearing a lot of stories of people dying that have received the vaccine. So you're hearing a lot of people dying of blood clots, myocarditis, and all sorts of blood diseases after the vaccine. Now, the scientists and the hospitals would not count it as a vaccinated death, right? They don't count it as vaccinated death, even though they got the vaccine within a couple of days later, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months even, they mysteriously die of blood clots, right? To the normal person who is using common sense, they would say that the vaccine caused this injury. All right, so right now, Dr. Peggy is going to show us what she's got. These are your photos, right, of your micrographs of your patients who have taken the vaccine. So let's take a look at this. What's this?
So what we see here, that the red blood cells are all stuck on each other, so they stick like pancakes, we could say. But it's a coagulation problem, so they're stuck on each other. And what we also see is this big thing here in the blood, which I cannot explain exactly what it is because I cannot analyze it deeper here with my equipment, but I can assume it's a graphene oxide or something. But
So have you ever seen this before?
no,
You have never seen this before.
No.
How many years have you been practicing?
30 years.
So Dr. Peggy has been practicing for 30 years, guys. She's never seen anything like this. Let that sink in for a moment. She's been testing blood for 30 years and she has never seen this unknown object here, okay? Now, Dr. Young has the equipment to test what that is, right? He's got, what is it called?
Electronic microscope.
Electronic
Yeah.
microscope, which allows him to test the actual substance more so, to see what it is, what it's made out of. So he doesn't only have micrographs, but he can actually test what this is. Again, this is unknown. Dr. Peggy doesn't know what that is because she only has this at this point, right? You only have that. All right, so here we're seeing an aggregate of the blood cells of the vaxxed person aggregating together, getting stuck, sticky, and that's not good. All right? This is good blood, unvaxxed blood, vaxxed blood. All right. Do you want to go to the next slide?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is that a new one? Did we take a look at that one?
Yeah, this we haven't seen.
Let's enlarge that. All right. So this is the same one or different? Again, that's unknown. We don't know what that is.
Yes, definitely nothing organic.
Nothing organic.
Yeah.
Right.
This was, I took it because you can actually see the cell surfaces here are really not healthy. So the cell membranes are not healthy. That's usually happening if some intoxication or something happening. And this is actually a white blood cell which is completely destroyed, which I have only seen in people after receiving chemotherapy or some kind of similar treatments were very toxic. So again, it's very damaging to the red and white blood cells. Yeah, this is not normal.
So the membrane of the blood cells in a vaxxed person has been completely corrupted. Let's look at this is live. This is what blood cells are supposed to look like.
A white blood cell, you see the activity.
Right.
Is
and the membrane is the way it's supposed to be, right? So if you could see, it's perfectly circular. This is the visual reference on how good blood cells should be. This we're seeing a totally corrupted membrane, cellular membrane. Okay, and this here is what, Dr. Peggy?
A white blood cell, but it's destroyed. It's not.
This is a white blood cell that has been totally destroyed in a vax person.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, what are we looking at here? This is very bizarre.
That's
right?
very bizarre.
Very,
and
very
I have
bizarre.
no answer. I sent this photo actually to friends, doctor friends, and asked if they see similar things, and they say yes. And I really don't know what this is. And what's really bizarre is these like kind of tentacles, or what is it? What comes out there? So I can just repeat. I really don't know what it is. But I guess this are structures like graphene oxide or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is like a crystallized, unknown structure that looks like it has life on its own that's growing, a network. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah,
It looks like a crystallized graphene structure that is growing a network. And what you can see are these Morgellon type of strings sticking out of it. This is very, very bizarre. And Dr. Peggy has never, ever, ever seen anything like this. 30 years of practicing her medical practice. So that to me,
is really bizarre.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's again. Okay, what are we looking at?
Yes, you see a similar thing. You see this thing with these again growing things out of it. So
Growing?
yeah, because these things they were growing. They were. I mean, if you wait another couple hours, there would be maybe I don't know how they would. They were definitely growing.
Growing.
Yeah.
So they're alive. It's sort of got a life on its own.
Definitely was something alive.
Was it
Or
moving live?
This thing here wasn't moving, but these things.
So that here, right? This crystallized structure here,
They're not that they were moving like this, but
Right.
they were kind of growing.
growing,
Yeah.
sticking out, right?
Yeah.
Wow. This is insane, guys. So doctor has found when she was looking at this live under a microscope that this crystallized structure was interacting, was growing, was sort of like a network. So let's look at the next one and try to get through this. What are we looking at here?
Here again, the blood cells are coagulated, and also again there is something in the blood. Yeah, has again these things here on the side. So very similar. I just can think that must be graphene oxide.
Must be graphene.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Young has unequivocally proved that it was graphene. It is graphene in the blood.
Yeah.
But we've only got microscopy to work with right now. So this one is a video. Let's enlarge it.
Yeah, this is actually really difficult to explain a bit because it's a white blood cell, but also here very unusual how it comes out. It's not normal to look at this, and these overactive movement in this cell. I would say this is a cell what reacts to something toxic or something what wants to defend from, because it's I never have seen a white blood cell like this. So it was for me also like, wow, what's this? Why is this so aggressively working?
Right.
Like you could say if an autoimmune activity or something goes on, the cells attacking something very strong. So it was not a normal white blood cell which we saw here.
Okay. All right, so that's the end of the slides. How many vax patients did you have?
At least 60, 70. I didn't count them, but now it's actually every day I see at least 2-3 patients there.
That are vaxxed.
Because more and more people having it.
And do they, how many of them have adverse reactions who are struggling to are they coming specifically to try to flush it out?
No, not all of them. Some
No?
had really strong reactions, and of course they're worried and want
Uh-huh.
to see what's going on. Some of them not. We have also to differentiate here with which vaccine.
Mhm.
So most damage what I have seen is from a vaccine like AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, and
Mhm.
Johnson. Here in Indonesia, they're using also a lot of Sinovac and Sinopharm,
Mhm.
which is not doing this.
Mhm.
So the blood from these people looks pretty much okay after the vaccine,
Mhm.
but it's also not the same thing. It's not an mRNA vaccine also.
Mhm.
So that's still using the old model of injecting some kind of dead virus particles also.
Yeah.
So the impact from these vaccines is not as big as I have seen, but also here don't know the long-term effect. We
Right.
don't know what's,
And okay, do you want to take some questions before we go off live? Because I'm assuming that we're short on time at the moment. Guys, if you guys want to ask any questions, this is the time right now to ask them. So let's do it, because I'm not going to have this doctor around. All right. So do you want to? Do you want to meet again, right, and do this live? Because I think it would be more interesting to do it live with a vaccinated person. Take his blood out, right, live, so we can show it step by step, and we can view it on here with this this technology here. We can view it live as it's moving. Now this is the doctor's blood, so this is healthy blood. This is good blood cells. All right, so what would we expect in people who have had the vaccine? That's one of the questions.
What symptoms?
What symptoms I'm expecting? I think that he means, what long term, within 2 years perhaps, heart conditions. It's really difficult to tell at this point. It's experimental.
It's very experimental, and it's a medical trial. We're still in a trial phase 3, so this is really difficult to answer. I mean, the expectation is that we will definitely have these antibody-dependent enhancement. So if the person is contacting the next wild corona type virus, it would go in a cytokine storm, what would be mostly deadly. So in the animal trials, this was all happening. All animals died actually. So,
right.
But long-term effects, we don't know. We would expect, if I see these things, that we definitely see more cancer, autoimmune diseases.
Yeah.
Cardiovascular issues for sure. I mean, this coagulation things.
And teenagers have been taking it and have been getting myocarditis and heart inflammation.
Yeah.
Look, guys, at the end of the day, Dr. Peggy is a doctor. She's scientifically minded. She's not a conspiracy theorist. She's not claiming anything just yet. She's saying what it is, right? She's saying, this is what we're noticing under the microscope. We're noticing unusual activity. She's not claiming anything, and she's not, solidifying anything in stone at this point. But every doctor and scientist should look at this and try not to be afraid of speaking about it, because at this point, everyone is being ostracized. Doctors and scientists are being ostracized. People are being attacked for talking about this. But this is what we're noticing under a microscope, and we're doing it live, right? So what else do supporters of this want? So at this point, I think that me and the doctor agree that next time we meet, we're going to do it live with a vaccinated person. So we're going to find someone who is willing to come in and be on camera. And we're not going to make any claims. We're not going to say what this is, but we're going to expose what we're seeing under the microscope and keep it neutral. We're going to allow you guys to decide what this is. And with the intention of putting things together and rationally, and figuring out what this is. But if you watch the Dr. Young interview, he will tell you exactly what he thinks it is. And he's got a lot of scientific proof of that. Are there blood samples to compare after other shots to see what the difference is with these. Well, this is normal blood and we're doing it live, and we're comparing it with vax blood. So it's vaxxed versus unvaxxed. Does she have any analysis of the same blood before and after the vax?
Yes, because many
Yes.
of them, they were my patients before, so they haven't had any things like this. Especially not these stuff what we see here in the blood, what I have never seen before. So that's something. No, I have seen patients before and after,
Mhm.
yes, and there was a big change.
Right, so she's had long-term patients, she's tested the blood before, then she tested the blood afterwards, after the shot, and you know, she's never seen anything like it. So yes, before and after she's got that. Will this graphene oxide go to the brain? I think, yeah, it would, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they did pathology testing, and of course, this will everywhere found these nanoparticles in all type of organs. Unfortunately, yes, and of course, obviously, they want to have them in the brain. I don't know,
Right.
but it's definitely how the blood responds to these particles it's very toxic. Is something what is not normal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, guys, is that this, we know, I'm looking at this and I know that it's graphene. I know that it's magnetic particles. We've got enough evidence to prove that it is. But what we're going to do is that next time we get together, we're going to do it live, step by step, and we're going to test it live, and we're going to blast some frequencies on it to see if we can find a resonant frequency to interact with the magnetic particles. So one more question, and the doctor needs to go. So we're going to pick one more question. Okay, there's a lot of questions, doctor. I've got like dozens, hundreds here. I've got to pick a good one. Wow, it's really difficult to keep up with. What? Okay, this is a major one, and I think that it's a good one. What treatment? So if you've been injected, what treatments can flush this out? What can I do to?
Yeah, good question. We still as we still in the trial, we have also see how we fix it. We have really good seen a lot of improvement in patients putting them on high dose vitamin C infusions. So we speak about 10,000 milligram to 40,000 milligram. And also ozone therapy, blood ozone can really help to reduce the blood clots and everything. We're using NAC, N-acetylcysteine and glutathione, also for supporting detoxification pathways, and all types of vitamins, vitamin C, D, zinc, all these normal things for sure. Yeah, these things, they can really help. And anticoagulants are like nattokinase, lumprokinase, serrapeptase. They are proteolytic enzymes that help to break down the fibrin. So this is very important to take. Even a simple aspirin, I think, would do something.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We're gonna end this now, but I encourage. I'm gonna post this temporarily, but I am going to delete it because I do not want this to get censored. I don't want to get a strike. But I encourage all of you to download this video. I'm gonna allow it to be up for a couple of hours. I encourage everyone to download it, post it, and put it out there. And if you're watching this video from outside of Instagram, search me up on Instagram at Spiro, SPIRO, to keep updated, because we're going to keep in contact and we're going to try to take this to the next level. All right, guys. See ya.